Hi guys, we're going to be talking about equipment today and which racket suits you the best. So firstly, we're going to be talking about racket sizes. We start off with the junior rackets, which start off at about a 19 inch and it goes all the way up to a full size racket, which is a 27 inch. Now mainly your smaller racket sizes, which are 19 inch, 21 inches, 23 inches, 25, 26 inches, are usually for the junior kids from anywhere from age 3 up to even maybe age 12. Most people would say that it's based on your age, but it's actually mainly based on your size. So if you have a stronger junior player, they could be 8 years old and playing with a 25 inch racket, whereas a beginner or a weaker 8-year-old player could be playing with a 21 inch racket. Okay, so obviously when choosing the size of your racket, we have to look at the grips. Okay, grip size is quite important, especially for younger players, but moving all the way up. I don't have a very big hand, so I usually play with a grip size 2, and that's totally irrelevant based on the size of your hand. So usually coaches talk about a grip size 0, grip size 1, 2 or 3. You also could say that a grip size 1, for example, is a 4 1/8, grip size 2 is 4 1/4, and then a grip size 3 is 4 3/8. So just in case you don't get the full spec of a L1, L2, L3 kind of factor. Another factor very important with your equipment is the weight of your racket. So most rackets come in different ranges, if we could call it that. So for example, I have the Ultra 100L here. There's also an Ultra 100UL, there's an Ultra 100, and they even go heavier and lighter than those. So the weight of the racket can also then be based on the player size and strength, which is quite important. So choosing your string is also quite an important factor that tends to get overlooked. You get a various variety of strings. The softer ones are more like a synthetic gut, and it goes to a bit of a harder string, maybe like a polyester. But within the synthetic gut range, within the polyester ranges, and all the others that are out there, you usually need to start looking at things like your string thickness, which makes a big difference on feel, and also longevity of the string. Some strings have more power, some strings are softer, and this goes for basically any type of string you can find. So using the correct string can really either work well with your racket selection or work against it. Once you've chosen your string, the actual tension you're going to string your racket at makes a huge difference. So we'll talk about a few examples at the end, but basically you want to be able to let your string perform at its maximum level on your racket. That means proper spin, enough power, enough control. Now to get that balance right is quite tricky. Most people string nowadays in between 44 pounds all the way up to 60 pounds. The looser your tension, the more power you're going to get out of the string. The stiffer your tension, the more control. Obviously, dependent on the string and how much tension it loses, you can decide whether to go at a more powerful rate and hope that you gain control out of the specific string, or go at a stiffer rate and get a more powerful string for yourself. So that's also something that you can use as a deciding factor. Once you've taken all these factors into account, you want to really make sure that you are choosing the right equipment for yourself. Taking a racket that's too heavy could tend to hurt your arm and even damage your technique, whereas a racket that's too light could actually lack in performance because of your swing weight. So what you really want to look at is deciding the right racket for the right child. Players and coaches really need to communicate clearly on this, especially once you've actually found the right racket, to not just stop there, but actually talk about the strings as well, the tension of the strings, and to look at it. If it doesn't work well enough, make sure that you really putting in the effort to try and fix that. So I've brought 2 rackets with today to try and show you the difference in specs and equipment, just to give you a bit more of an insight into the rackets that we have at our disposal. So one of the rackets I have with me is the Wilson 100L. It's a 280 gram racket and a grip size 2 racket, which suits my hand pretty perfectly. meaning that if we do the old finger gap test, it suits perfectly. If my fingers were there, this would mean my grip would be too big, but if they were maybe just squeezing the finger a bit tightly, that should be fine, as long as it's not smaller than that and climbing over my palm. My personal favorite is the Wilson Pro Staff. This is the 97L, 97 meaning its head size. The circumference is 97 square inches compared to the 100-inch Ultra over here. This racket of mine is a 290 gram racket, also grip size 2, so it pretty much fits snugly onto my hand, and this is obviously my weapon of choice. I hope you enjoyed our equipment talk and that you've learned something out of today about choosing the right racket for you. We really hope that you guys will be able to get the most out of your tennis rackets and use it to improve your game.